Let's go! Legend! 1, 2, 3, go!
Hi, welcome to episode 9 of the Comic Con Community Podcast. My name's Will.
Hi, I'm Paul, and joining us tonight is Aaron Bonar and Louie Jones. Welcome, guys.
Hi, everyone.
Hello.
Welcome.
How are we tonight?
Very good, thank you.
Pretty well, actually. Yeah, I'm really excited for this.
So, just to tell our audience, we've got you on because we want to hear some stories about puppets. You guys do puppetry. It's a hobby of yours. We like to make that very clear that it is just a hobby. It's not a professional. You don't get paid. It's just things you like to do. So do you want to talk a little bit about that, about how you started getting into puppetry, why that hobby?
Go on, Aaron, you go first.
Well, I've always loved puppets since I was a kid, like most people. All the traditional stuff like the Muppet Show and Sesame Street and some of the British stuff like Sooty Show and Basil Brush. And I think one of my first puppets, which I've still got, that my grandfather made for me when I was a little kid, about 3 years old. So this puppet's probably nearly 50 years old. I've still got that Basil Brush puppet. So I always played with puppets as a kid and found it quite funny and entertaining, my sister and my family. And then we had lockdown, and obviously, again, an interest in puppets. And I happened to come across the legend puppet maker that is Phil Fletcher. And we got in contact, and he was making puppets and told me he does commissions. And I commissioned a couple of puppets off him. And during lockdown, I started just for fun, just for my own entertainment and friends and family and nephews and nieces and things like that, just to have a bit of fun with puppets. And posted a couple on TikTok, and suddenly they got a bit of traction and a few views, and that escalated and snowballed, and it came quite funny. And then before I knew it, I found myself obsessing over I could change that song and change that lyrics into that song and parody songs and things like that, and then it's just sort of snowballed from there.
So did it get more in COVID, because obviously you've got the time basically?
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, I was still working. Obviously, I have an office-based job, so I was still working. But obviously, when evenings and weekends where you can't really go anywhere during lockdown and things like that, and I'd say it was always an interest I'd had, and it wasn't really something I knew you could pursue.
So you just thought, I'll annoy the family in this time of COVID.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
they can't leave the house. I've got them trapped.
Yeah, captive audience, I believe they call it.
It's amazing how many people started hobbies that they've never done before during lockdown. But I've heard that from quite a few different people who've said they've tried something that they've never done before. It's crazy the amount of people that I've heard have just done something completely. Yeah. So I mean, one benefit of lockdown, I suppose. Well, probably the only benefit of lockdown. But yeah,
what about you, Louis?
So I got into it when I was really young, actually, around when I was around 7. And believe it or not, which is going to shock you, is I used to be scared of the Muppets when I was younger, which will come as a shock. Because I used to be scared of I don't know if you remember Bear in the Big Blue House.
Yeah.
That one. I used to be scared when Bear would just cram his nose into the screen. That would freak
when
me
he's
out.
sniffing the camera.
Yeah, it made me jump when I was younger, and I just stayed away. But then, when I was a bit more older, around when I was 9 or 10, I got into the Muppets. I've always loved Kermit. I've always loved because obviously I didn't grow up with Sesame Street because we didn't have it when I was young. When I was younger, we didn't have Sesame Street over here, which really baffled me. But I grew up with shows like The Hoobs, which is another Henson British show on Channel 4. I grew up with, again, Sooty. I even knew who Zippy was as well. I grew up with Roly Mo, like the Thimbles, Tweenies. I've grown up with them when I was younger. And I've always loved the art form of puppetry, and Jim Henson is a massive inspiration of mine. I've always loved Jim Henson. Again, with other puppeteers that I've seen over the years and learned more about puppeteers, even Phil Fletcher, who I've met as well, who is absolutely fantastic.
Big up to Phil Fletcher. He's one of our friends.
I agree, and yeah, his hacker's up there actually. Yeah, I don't know if you can see that, but he's up there. But yeah, Hacker, I've grown up with him, and obviously just with other puppetry that you can find in the UK, and I've had interest in in ones in the US, other puppetry shows, Between the Lines is one that I've seen. There's other different types of puppet shows, and different ways, and I've always loved it because I end up making my own little short films when I was younger. Hence my name on there is Louie Jones 12, which was what my original name was because I originally did like little films with like my teddies when I was younger. Even though I don't do them now, but I've always loved puppetry, and it's just something that I've kind of always had a love for.
Have you done the old finger puppets?
No, actually, I haven't. Surprisingly, oh. I did the ones where it's a bit like Sooty, where it was like those ones where like you have just Sooty going around, but I didn't have a Sooty. I had like different animals, but like I always kind of like did those other ones. But even when I was younger, I still had puppets where you can just naturally do this and that. I don't know how it's like naturally I can lip sync like that, which is crazy as it sounds. Even when I was younger, when I was like at lowest age of 10, I was still speaking like this and just like, oh, busting out a Kermit frog. And then people would end up being shocked and just being like, how do you do that? Like, are you part of Henson? I'm like, no, no. It makes me
So
laugh.
what's it like getting the voice correct? Like for Aaron, you obviously Kermit, you've got to study the voice. It's not like just picking up a puppet and going, I am Kermit the Frog.
Yeah.
You've got to learn the voice as well.
Yeah.
So
And
what is that process like going through?
Obviously, it's watching the shows, watching internet clips, YouTube, things like that, and trying to sort of get your voice to sort of marry up. And it's the thing about performing somebody like Kermit and Fozzie. Obviously, I contribute to a TikTok page, Muppet tribute page called Came Up TV. So shout out to my good friend Jordan across the water, and we collaborate on that. So it's about getting the voice, but it's also what we try and do is try and keep the character of true to the original source, because there's lots of Kermit impersonators and Muppet impersonators out there that aren't necessarily sort of in keeping with the character of Kermit and the Muppets. They can be a bit more adult and things like that. But to get the voice and capture the performance, it's sort of like it's the subtle nuance sort of things, the vocal inflections, the tone, the accent. Obviously, I've got a Blackpool accent, so obviously it has to be an American accent, and sort of getting the sort of position in your mouth and your throat to sort of get the noise and the voice as close as you can. I'm not saying I'm anywhere near perfect. Like saying my good friend Jordan on Came Up TV does a far better Kermit than I think even Louis does a better Kermit than me, to be honest. But then it's so that's why I tend to stick with Fozzie. It's a case of like just sort of picking up the almost the body language and the phrases and the personality of the character rather than just the voice.
Yeah, because you've got to remember as well, you've got something here, so you've got to do the movements and the actions as well. Mm-hmm. So you could be looking here, talking here, but you've still got to keep this moving.
Exactly, and you sort of trying to keep eye contact. If you're doing a piece to camera, if the puppet's looking down the camera, you sort of got to maintain your eye focus and things like that. Stay out of frame. Obviously, like say, you don't want the puppeteer's arms in shot or your head. Can't miss that, head in shot. So it's yeah. So there's a lot of things to think about, and that's the cool thing about the art form. It's something that you learn, and I'm still learning. I'm still not a master of it yet, but I'm learning from other masters such as Phil Fletcher and things like that, and my friend Jordan, who have given me lots of tips on puppetry and puppet building and performance and things like that. Been absolutely invaluable and very generous with their time. So yeah, it's more than just a voice. It's definitely to bring a character to life, and obviously some of my own characters that I perform on my TikTok account are individual characters, and sometimes they have their own personality or voice, but then sometimes it depends what the skit calls for. A lot of the old Muppet Show with Kermit, when he first started, he was a very interchangeable character. He wasn't fleshed out as Kermit. His voice did change. The person that performed him may have changed. He'd appear in different clothing and costumes and things like that, just depending on the skit. And that's kind of where my characters lay. They sort of perform the voice or whatever's necessary, or the song or the style for whatever I think at the time the video, the film that I'm making needs. But obviously when you're impersonating Kermit or Fozzie, you have to try and capture the voice and the performance and the character of that puppet, and try and bring that across to be as close as you can and true to the original as you possibly can.
And is it same for you, Louis, as well?
Yeah, like specifically like with a character like Mana Mana, like because obviously like with me, I didn't fully know who or what Mana Mana says other than Bonar Bonar. So I had to like research a lot with Bonar Bonar. Obviously, like I've performed Aaron's Kermit. It's like as soon as you have the character on, you kind of just like, but with Bonar Bonar, obviously within a character that's more obscure, that you wouldn't really find as much with Muppets nowadays. Even though the song's so iconic, people that don't like watch the Muppets, they'll still recognize Bonar Bonar. Like my nephew, he just recently, like sometimes I'll pull out Bonar Bonar and he'll go, now Bonar, and he does know it without knowing the Muppets. So let's say if I had to research different types of voices from Bonar Bonar, like ranging from like the 60s to nowadays, because it was originally Jim that did Bonar Bonar. And then obviously, since Bonar Bonar started getting used like nowadays for the Muppets, it's now Bill Beretta who does like Rolf and Dr. Teeth. So with him, you kind of have to like, because my Bonar Bonar kind of sounds a bit like Rolf in a way. Because like when you kind of listen back to Bonar Bonar, because what I've learned is that you're not just, it's a bit something like how Aaron puts it with Kermit and Fozzie. It's like it's not just about impersonation, it's about bringing life to that character. Like let's say if you have a character on your arm, like let's say if I got Ernie from Sesame Street, like you'll speak as Ernie and you'll kind of talk like that and you'll do what you like, you do what you do with Ernie. Like let's say if he's speaking about his rubber ducky, it kind of just clicks into your head. And it's like somehow, even if like you're not good at the voice, it kind of just comes out naturally. I don't know if it's like same with other puppeteers, like how like, let's say if someone's going to impersonate Basil or even just like other characters. It's like, I don't know like if it's the same with other people, but when it comes to like well, I wouldn't say impersonation, but trying to like fulfill a legacy like in like a short amount of time, like if you're doing like kind of like how me and Aaron are going to be like, you know, showing up in the Comic-Con with, you know, Kermit, Fozzie and Bonar Bonar and like bringing happiness to people. It kind of shows that you can still bring Muppet joy to people without having like the people involved with them there, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
like that.
I mean, like you said, when we've seen them at Comic Cons, I mean, Will has as well. Like, you actually believe because you're doing it. You actually believe the puppet's real. So,
Oh
like,
yeah, I
like you say,
agree.
you'll have loads of people coming up to Aaron. Will say like, "Oh, it's Kermit the Frog." We'll go, "Oh, it's that guy off TikTok, or it's that guy we saw on the podcast." They'd be like, "It's Kermit the Frog." Do you know what I mean?
Because even when I was at, you know, the Fleetwood Community Comic Con last year, I was just there like, you know, roaming around, and as soon as because like that was kind of how I first met Aaron, because like I saw Kermit in the corner of my eye, and I was like, hang on a minute, whoa, hang on, I didn't there was nothing on your social that said Kermit was going to be here, and I was like, hang on a minute, that's not a mascot Kermit, that's an actual Kermit, and I was a bit like, hang on, I might need to approach. So I remember I went up. And I was like, you know, that's a really accurate Kermit, like really scarily accurate. And I remember, like, I was like, that's amazing. I remember, like, he let me try him on. I was a bit like, that was the first time I actually operate a professional puppet, and it made me kind of.
It was the last time she was better than me.
Oh well. Oh bless you. But yeah, no, but like and then like when I put him on, I was a bit like, this is something I didn't expect to happen. I was just like, what is it? Because at one point I was like, you just roam around. At another point, you're operating an accurate Kermit. It's just like, you don't expect it. And then obviously nowadays, and that day, it encouraged me to come out my shell and to find my own Muppet replica, hence why Bonar Bonar is here.
Oh, that's
So
good,
literally,
then,
thanks to Aaron and like the community Comic Con.
there you go, Aaron. You're already an inspiration.
Well,
Hey, I mean,
I'll take it. Thank you.
So, So, as you've just explained there, so what's the difference then? So, like you say, you got a hand puppet. Obviously, like says Sutter, it's obviously got to be a little bit easier, hasn't it, than an actual, you know, with rods. So, what's the complexity of that?
You've got a lot of different puppets. Obviously, like Sooty and Sweep, those are more like your glove puppets. So your heads in the fingers. Those fingers are in the head. So then you've got your arms, and you can turn the head and body. And obviously, it's quite a limited movement, but you can still be quite expressive. So there's no facial expression.
But you've still got to make that Sooty and Sweep alive.
Exactly, and you've got to channel that. It's almost like, you know, we were saying before, like it's not just the impression and things like that. It's almost like, I'm not an actor, but I imagine it's just something you bring something to the performance to bring that to life, to make something that's just cloth and felt and fur and fabric to life. Like Louis was saying, people do come up to you if you're doing it and you kind of doing it fairly well. People don't talk to you. People don't see you. Some people do, always that, but some people just come and talk to the puppet. And it's not just children; it's adults. I went to a Comic-Con and a 6'6" guy dressed as the Undertaker who's posing for photographs absolutely fanboyed over Fozzie Bear and Kermit the Frog.
You do. That's what I said. Yeah.
You're twice my height, absolutely. But people do talk to puppets, so it's that's the kind of thing. But obviously, your different puppets have different ways of performing, so you try and bring them to life with the ability that you have with that particular puppet. So some are like, let's say you have your glove puppets, and obviously most of the puppets I use are arm and rod puppets, which is obviously the head is the hand, the right hand, and the left hand then manipulates the arms, which are on rods, and obviously then you're talking and with the head and moving the body around and sort of giving it life and looking left and right, and then the arms are held by the rods, and then obviously then that became quite a tricky thing to sort of learn. That's obviously, and then obviously Fozzie's a live hand puppet where his arms are literally a glove essentially. So you have the hand in the head and you have a live hand as a hand, so you can grab and manipulate things more easily than a rod puppet, hand and rod puppet does. That's obviously very difficult. Props can be a nightmare with rod puppets because obviously the hands don't grab or manipulate things. There's no dexterity there. It's just literally hands that do backwards and forwards and up and down, but no grip or anything like that. So again, depends on the nature of the puppet, and there's lots of different puppets, and obviously some more complicated puppets have facial expressions and eye mechanisms and things like that. But again, it's all part of the learning process. Fozzie was my first live hand puppet, and it was different sort of skill. It's literally, as I heard other people say, and it's right. It's the old, patting your head, rubbing your tummy. It's kind of like that, and rods can be quite tricky. Some people use one arm. I cheat a lot often in some of my videos. Sometimes I'll be using both arms, sometimes I'll just use the one because it doesn't need to have both arms. He's not doing any wild gesticulations or anything like that, or holding anything. So you can, like most of us do when we're talking, we might be just using one hand. Some might want to use two hands. So it just depends on what I'm filming, why I'm filming it. And if I can cut a corner, I'm lazy, I will cut a corner.
So I suppose it's that challenge, like you said, Lou, when you grabbed hold of the Kermit for the first time and it's new for you. Did that want you to get into it more? Did it want you to research a bit more, and play a little bit more around? Or
Yeah, absolutely. Because I already knew how arm rods work, live hand, and not only just that, it's like costume puppets. It's like if you look at characters like Bear and Big Bird, it's like, for example, Carol Spinney and Noel McNeil that play those characters. They would have the legs on pants, and then they'd have a massive 7-foot full body over your head, and they have a monitor to make sure that they can see where they're going, because there isn't
that's
a way
the thing as well, though. Sorry to interrupt you, but that's the thing as well. People think they're just costumes, but they're actually puppets as well because of mechanism. They've still got to move stuff. So
Oh, absolutely. No. So when I put Kermit on, I remember because that was my first time actually operating with two arm rods. Because I'm used to just doing one. Because the puppets I've operated in my life, they've always ended up either not having an arm rod and they just have their arms dangling like it's nothing. But yeah, being able to operate with an arm rod, like with my Manar that I have now, it's like some days when I'm just bored, I'm just you know what, I'll just lip sync some stuff with him. And especially with Manar, he has an iMech in his head. I can actually show you him now, actually, whilst I'm at it, and kind of demonstrate. So here he is, Manar, which I actually recently acquired last year, not long after I went to the Comic-Con, actually. So obviously his body is like a sleeve, and he's got two arm rods, so you literally you'd have it in one hand and you can make him clap or dance, and especially with the way you can move his head hello or something, or mana, you can just move around and just really expressive. But in the head there's a little hoop which is made out of fish wire, from what I know of from the original seller. You pull back, and literally when you pull back, his eyes blink, kind of like how he looks in the 70s, which just makes him really expressive, and you can do quite a lot with him, or even just a little slight movement, like you can make him look confused, like, huh? It's just like it's just so cool. Even just then, it's like costume puppets. It's like like in my life, I've operated different types of puppets. It's like recently in December, I don't know if you've like seen or heard, but like I don't know if you've heard of like a company called Bidka in the ice arena in the Pleasure Beach.
Yes.
So I've been a part of them for over a decade since I was 6, and I just had my last show, like my last full show, like,
Wow.
and I was able to incorporate my talents like voice acting and puppeteering. So I remember the director came up to me because we were doing a new scene, and he was like, "Hey, Louie, come here, come here." So we got a new scene here, and it's the fight scene between Jafar and Aladdin. So this was Aladdin as well, and it was the giant snake, and they were building this giant puppet snake in the style of like a Chinese dragon. And they were like, so we'd like you to be the head puppeteer and to teach people puppetry and how it works. And I was like, yes, please. So I accepted, and the amazing puppet wrangler that built this huge snake, because the tail was about 11 meters long. It was huge. And the body, the head, was about 5 foot tall. So it was about the height of me in a way. So it was really massive, and the head was connected from the neck with a massive broomstick, and it had like bright colored red eyes, and it was absolutely heavy to the point I had to pitch them the idea that I'd have a harness. So in no span of like a few days, they built this harness and they fit around me. And this is a funny story, like literally like a couple of days before the first show, I remember I was skating around, we were doing it as normal, and I was going around a circle around the cast, and then out the blue, a back of the buckle broke and it snapped, and it was plastic, and the head fell on my head and it pulled my shoulder back. And I remember they had to quickly rush order a metal one, and there you go, and it wowed the crowd. It was absolutely amazing. It was a great way to like end off Bidka, because like with Bidka, it's a great company and organization that like that helps charities and stuff like that. And especially like incorporating talents like that and showing off different types of puppetry, not just hand or glove or live hand. It's like costume puppet can really make a massive impact on people. Like it can really like wow, because like there's a sequence where the snake comes over to the front of the ice arena, like, and leans over the crowd. So I had to like lean back and then lean forward, because I had like the other puppeteers in the back, and then literally as soon as I leave the ice, the wranglers have to like lift it off, because one like it takes a bit, because once like after a minute it just gives out. But it was so difficult, but it was so fun to do. But it also just shows like the different types of puppetry that you can incorporate in like the art form, or even in just performing arts, not even just in TV. But yeah, no, it's like I was even able to like incorporate puppetry in like Oliver, or even just like in short films, to kind of show people like, or like young people that puppetry is for everyone, like, and they can like do it and kind of keep the art form alive again. Even though nowadays, animation, which yeah, it is a cool art form, but it doesn't hit as hard as a puppet, because you can actually see and talk, like how Aaron put it, like people can actually like talk to the character and not just the puppeteer.
Well, like you said there, because like the puppets are real. That's what we see, because we, like I said, like Aaron said, we grew up with children as children, with these shows. And like I said, when you go to Comic Cons, people see Kermit and they go, "What, Kermit? Forget that celebrity guest over there. Kermit Frog's over there." Do you know? And it doesn't matter who's doing it. They see Kermit. They see, Fozzie the Bear, like you said. They see Manama, or they see these puppets, and they run over there and they want pictures like you would have experienced. And you're probably thinking, why does somebody want a picture with me? But you've got Kermit the Frog. That's why they want a picture of you. So that's what it's like, isn't it? Really?
Yeah, and that for me was the best part of it, doing the Comic Cons and stuff like that. And it was just the reception, and people, like say young and old people. There was somebody probably about my age said, "My mom's coming down. Will you still be here in 10-15 minutes? Because she'd love to meet Kermit." And I'm like, "Yeah, absolutely." And as another little boy, it was his birthday, and he'd had a Muppet themed birthday, and he was just mouth wide open. Kermit the Frog was there. And he just had a Muppet birthday and had a Muppet cake. His mum was explaining to me, so he was about 5 or 6 years old. So he was meeting Kermit. He was meeting Kermit. And then another boy, he was, he watched Muppets a lot, and he just literally just I can't remember which puppet I was using at the time. It might have been Kermit. He just literally just grabbed and held the puppet and hugged him, and his mum was like, "To him, the real." And I was like,
yeah.
real.
Yeah, like I said,
And
not just to the children, to
sweet
the
moment,
adults, because like you said, adults will come running over. They'll forget that, oh, kids, this is Kermit straight away. They'll introduce it straight away. This is my child.
Probably a
It
higher
takes them
proportion
back.
for adults that were, and then like, he'd say, "Hey kids, look, it's Kermit the Frog," and the kids like, no idea. But yeah, more often than not, it was actually adults, because obviously the Muppets, obviously going back like 60, 70 years, the Muppets, there's a lot of nostalgia there for the Muppets, and people grew up with the Muppets, and whether it be, people watch the old Muppet show from the 70s, or people remember, younger people maybe remember the films, the more recent films like Muppets Most Wanted, and obviously, the classic Muppets Christmas Carol and things like that. So, Muppets and things like and puppet characters, like there's a lot of nostalgia there. And again, that's why, that, on Came Up TV, Jordan and I, we want to try and stay true to the characters, and not sort of sully the legacy, or, be anything that the Muppets were never a part of. So we try and remain as faithful as we can. So the skits and parodies and jokes and things that we tell feel Muppet like,
It's keeping it alive, isn't it? Because like I said, there's not many now. Because like I said, when I was a kid, when you was probably a kid, and Will as well, we had, Fraggle Rock. I absolutely love Fraggle Rock. And it was one of the best shows going. You had Rosie and Jim, and then, the films like Labyrinth, David Bowie with puppets, Labyrinth's a classic film. I think Jim Henson's son was in that, actually. I think he played Hoggle, the little goblin or whatever it was. But I love the dog Tanyan, the little knight. Can't remember his name. The one on the real dog. And
the Didymus.
I bet that was really hard to film, actually, because they had a puppet on a real live dog running around and stuff. So they probably just had to strap it down and let the dog run around or something.
Pretty much, yeah. Yeah,
but it was fantastic. Yeah, it's brilliant to watch. You'd think it would go back and fall off or something, but they must have strapped it off really well. And this dog just running around with this little fox, I think he was, on his back.
So sometimes the low tech solution is the best,
Just strap him on and let the dog go.
Effects always works better than CGI, like how I always thought.
Yeah. Of course it is. Like I said, the live puppets, bringing them to life, then actually just making them CGI is probably spoiled it now. But I'm just so happy that the Muppets are back, because they've got a brand new show now.
Tomorrow.
So I bet you're really excited about that.
Tuning in, definitely. Can't wait.
Absolutely.
So it'd be interesting if they keep it, like you said, keeping it like they did, or like new stuff, or what they weren't very controversial, really. It's not like they were going to get cancelled in the 70s or 80s, so it's not like they're going to get cancelled. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, some shows you go, they can't do that now. But with the Muppets, I don't think there was anything that you could say.
I think some of the jokes maybe don't well. I think but the Muppets themselves. They weren't Sesame Street. That was the difference between Muppets and Sesame Street. The Muppets wasn't aimed at children. It was aimed as a family show.
An adult show, yeah. It was supposed to be an adult show, yeah.
So there was something there for everyone. And the Muppets were always a bit sort of edgy and cheeky and naughty and push boundaries and things like that, without going too far, over the line. So the more recent Muppet films and shows, there is a bit of tongue-in-cheek, sort of, more adult humour in there, alluded to, but obviously nothing too, I say, crossing the boundaries or anything like that. And that's, again, something we try and remain faithful to when we do our Muppet tribute act. I think they probably will modernise it, obviously, the new Muppet show, and there will be a few sort of, more adult sort of jokes in there and material in there, but nothing that's not child safe, or it's a family show at the end of the day. And I think that as long as we remain true to that, and I think they will. I think
the one thing that Muppets do well, though, is they actually incorporate the brand new stars that are around who are more famous now. They always had famous people to come on the show, and like with the new one, I've only seen a little bit of the trailer, but they've got Sabrina Carpenter, and Sabrina Carpenter's massive. So that's what I said. They always incorporate whoever's the star now. But these celebrity stars actually want to be on the Muppets. It's not like they're going, well, we'll pay you £1 million to come on. They're like, no, I want to go on. I want to sit and sing with Kermit the Frog. I want to do that. You know what I mean? That's the magic of the Muppet Show.
Absolutely, yeah. Anyone that has been on the Muppets, whether it's a cameo in a film or on the original TV shows and things like that, or Sesame Street and things like that, people want to do it. It's part of their childhood, part of their nostalgia, and so the big stars of the past have done it, and then obviously again, I'm imagining the big stars of the present will want to do it. So definitely, I say, as long as it's done well, and and tries to remain. It's great to see that they're going back to the old Muppet theatre. So that's again fully old nostalgia strings. So yeah, I can't wait to see it.
So before we get the puppets out to have a little look and see and your work and what you do, Lou, have you ever created any of your own? Have you got plans to create any of your own puppets? What's the process of that? Have you thought about that or?
There was times where I have obviously like when we own like different puppets, because I own different types of ones that I just buy online. Because I freak out when I think of like building the puppets, because I look at different people building puppets, like Adam Krutinger. He's a fantastic puppet builder. Like he's done amazing work, he has, and I used to watch a lot of his like tutorials, and he's definitely someone who I've always thought, obviously if he can do it, I can do it. But obviously when I see people like build them, it makes me think like, oh my, I feel like I'm scared of doing this wrong, because I've always wanted to create my own replica of a character. Because like I remember when I was younger, I thought I bet I could make a simple Zippy, or like a simple Kermit, or like or a Cookie Monster, because I've always thought they look really simple, but obviously you've got to like find the patterns, because obviously it's quite difficult. From what I know of, it's quite difficult to find the right patterns, because like when you're talking about a character like Kermit that's owned by Disney now, obviously they want to try and keep Kermit original and not have like duplicates going around on the world and like selling them online like a black market or something like that. But like personally, I've always kind of like stayed away from building, in my opinion, because like I've always kind of like thought I'd struggle. I feel like I'd need to have a professional builder next to me and just be like, okay, so here's the foam, there's the glue. Okay, right, make it right on the pattern. Okay,
I think YouTube still have something like that now, don't they? You can build anything on YouTube now.
Because I thought I'd get a better result.
Guide.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's like I've always kind of thought I'd kind of just feel better if I just buy it online, or just like pay someone to like build one. I've kind of always felt comfortable.
It's a lot of time and effort as well, I suppose.
Yeah,
you know what I
it's
mean?
a lot of time and effort. But obviously, like once you receive it, it feels worth it. It's like with Manamana, it's like when I knew what I was getting into because this is my first time properly looking into like getting a real replica. Because like when I first looked into it, obviously I knew like it was going to be difficult trying to find like what's right for you, because I didn't know if I was going to even find a Manamana, because he's personally one of my favorite Muppets, like out of three. I love Kermit, I love Manamana, and I also love Thog. He's like the big blue monster. I'm a massive fan. When I saw him in the trailer, I lost it. I absolutely love Thog. I've always wanted to hear his voice, but fingers crossed in the reboot we hear him. So I've always I remember I reached out to different builders, and I was like, so because this is literally how it's like. I'll appear in the DMs and I'll be like, hey, so I'm interested in like a Muppet replica, and I'm quite nervous speaking to him, because it's like you don't
like you're buying something that you shouldn't be buying.
It's like I hear you create accurate frogs, and then they'll go like, oh yeah, no, we do them. What are you looking for specifically? And I'm just like, possibly and it's like they know what you're after, and it's just like,
through this door, please.
Oh yeah. And then I randomly, with how I appeared with Manamana, because there's a builder called Marcos Hanglin who creates really great replicas. He's done one of like a Sam and Friends Kermit, he's done a Gonzo, he's done a Dr. Teeth, and he recently did like a Manamana. I remember I bumped into a guy called Wally Wingert, who's a voice actor in like America, who I didn't even know he was a voice actor until I looked into it. I remember I asked him, I was like, because he had one, and I was like, oh, like, where did you get him? And then coincidentally, he had a spare, and I was like, oh, okay. And he was like, yeah, I can sell to you for one. I was like, okay, you know what? I'll bite the bullet. And then literally in no span of 2 weeks, he appeared in my house, and now like it just feels crazy that it kind of feels weird that you own something that's like, should I really own this? Because this looks scarily real. It's like when I saw Kermit on my hand again. It's like, should I have him on my hand? I feel like I need to give him to Steve Whitmire or Jim or Matt Vogel. Yeah. It's like I kind of just felt a bit like it's so cool, but like, should I have him on my arm?
And we have an actual exclusive tonight, only for our podcast. If you go on YouTube, you will find, oh, sorry, not YouTube, TikTok, you will find somebody called Jimmy Ribbit. And Jimmy Ribbit, we have him here. It is
Here he
Aaron
is.
behind the mask.
And this is the puppet that started it all. This is Jimmy Ribbit.
Iconic
Jimmy
Jimmy
Ribbit
Ribbit.
has about 40,000 followers, so it's not bad little followers there. So why did Jimmy Ribbit come about?
Again, it was just talking to Phil Fletcher, who'd been making some puppets, and he did one that was called Bob Toad, and I was like, I really like looking at it. And again, it was sort of like aspirational. I would have loved some Muppet replicas, and I didn't have any Muppet replicas then. And obviously, a lot of professional puppet makers, for obvious reasons, fair enough, won't make replicas. You know, they are copyrighted, and at the end of the day. And I saw that Phil Fletcher had made a character called Bob Toad, and he was making some variants that he was selling. I was like, I'd quite like a custom one. Would be possible? And that's what started it. And I say during the lockdown, and obviously then Jimmy Ribbit landed, and then I say Phil and I chatted a few more times, and I met Phil at a couple of Comic Cons, and Phil's like, very, very helpful and very, very generous with time. He's obviously a very, very busy man. He gave me a few tips on puppeteering and gave me a few tips on puppet building, which I'm trying to start into now. I'm just about peering over the edge of that rabbit hole. And obviously he built me a few more puppets. So I've got a couple which appear on my TikTok account. One he based on my dog. Obviously I have a Cocker Spaniel, and obviously Phil kindly made me a replica of my dog, which is, sorry, going out of camera, which is this fellow here. He was called Walton. And he's a replica of my dog. And obviously he's quite popular for obvious reasons, because he's quite cute, like my real dog. But yeah, and it's obviously it just really started that I really liked the look of Phil's work. Like I say, to buy from, have customs made by who is literally a master craftsman at puppet making. He makes unbelievable puppets, quality second to none. So I thought, well, if you're gonna go down that rabbit hole, learn from the master, and get puppets made by the master puppeteer that is Phil Fletcher, puppeteer and puppet builder. Obviously everyone knows that Phil Fletcher performs as Hacker T-Dog on CBBC and Blue Peter, and
Host of Blue Peter. Don't forget that.
Don't forget Blue Peter. He's like I say, he's always been super generous with his time and advice, and tell me where to get fabrics from, and how to assemble bits of puppet and things like that, and lots of hints and tips like that. And obviously I actually did come across a replica maker, and I ended up getting a Kermit, and then I obviously ended up contributing to Came Up TV on TikTok. So hi to Came Up TV, and then obviously I'm the Fozzie the Bear sort of impersonator, sort of imposter stroke, bootleg. So yeah, we do Muppet style content there. It just literally snowballed. So there's literally more puppets in this house than there are people. As my other half always.
40,000 followers isn't bad, mate. It isn't bad at all.
It's good work. Yeah.
But I can't do puppeteer on ice, so I bow down to again.
We'll leave that to Louie.
I can do puppeteering, but can I do both? No.
So hi guys, welcome back. We have Kermit and Manamana.
Hi,
Hello guys.
Hello.
Hey there, Manamana.
Hello there, Kermit. Mm-hmm.
Good to see you again, old friend.
So Kermit, what's it like being an amphibian in the human world?
Well, when you're a singing, talking, banjo-playing frog, I guess the human world's the only place to go. So I guess a career in showbiz was kind of mapped out from the start. But overall, it's a great experience, and people are very kind, and yeah.
So they always say kiss a frog, you turn into a prince. You've been kissed millions of times, Kermit. What happened?
I'm not sure if that's a myth, but I'm always willing to try.
So more kisses for Kermit.
The more the better.
So what's your favourite thing about being a Muppet?
I think just entertaining people, and on Sesame Street, maybe educating people, but mostly just having fun and making people smile and laugh. And as a great man once said, I hope to make the world a better place than it was when I got here.
So what's the most challenging Muppet to work with? Manamana?
Oh, well, the most difficult Muppet to work with, you know, for some reason, those pink creatures you see around me, see, I just try and sing my catchy tune that I've known since the 60s. And well, they just appear and they start singing the whole do, which doesn't make any sense. And, I just left that theater and then, I just sometimes come back. It's so funny. And hearing people sing my song just proves that I'm just a great Muppet in general. And it makes me happy.
Do you agree, Kermit? Is Mona a great Muppet?
He is a great Muppet, but the doo-doos, they're a little light on the lyrics.
Do you have a favourite episode or movie that you've been in?
Me personally, well, I really am fond of the Great Muppet Caper. I love all the Muppet movies, and obviously at Christmas, the Muppets Christmas Carol is always a favorite in our household. Yeah, I can't pick a favorite, but yeah, a Muppets Christmas Carol probably up there.
So you've been on Sesame Street and the Muppet Show. Do you prefer one or the other?
Again, it's hard to pick the favorite between the two. It's like picking between your children, but all I'll say is there's a lot less drama on Sesame Street.
So, Mama, do you ever get tired of singing your own name?
I don't get tired of it at all. It makes me all happy, just sing my own tune. Yeah, I might sing the Muppet Show theme with all my fellow Muppets, including Kermit right there. I just enjoy singing my song. Hearing my name out and about, even when people don't even know the Muppets, they still recognize me. It just makes me feel quite proud. A proud Muppet for someone that's been on TV since the 60s and 70s.
Are you actually an hipster?
A hipster? If I can think of myself as a hipster. Maybe. I don't know. Do you? I don't know. I could be a hipster if I wanted to. I'm just me at the end of the day.
All I know is at my age, my hips aren't what they used to be.
Oh, yeah.
So, Mona, where'd you go when you dance your way off stage? Because you always seem to disappear somewhere.
I end up disappearing some days. I don't know why. I just sometimes like a break from the stage. Hence why I don't appear in a lot of movies with the Muppets anymore. But what I like to do, I just like to take a walk. A walk, listening to different types of music nowadays. Some of these different types of artists that we hear nowadays, and not like I was back in the day. It makes me realize that music can still be different. Even if it's still the same old song that you sing every now and again.
There's nothing wrong with a good classic.
So who's your favourite Muppet, Mona?
My favorite Muppet. He looks a little bit like me. I wonder if we're related. He's a part of the Electric Mayhem, Floyd, the bass player. Because he has similar eyes like me and similar hair. So I wonder if we're related and the same skin. So I do wonder if we're a bit similar. I could say him.
They're definitely cut from the same cloth.
Oh, yeah.
A little
So
Muppet.
where's Miss Piggy this evening, Kermit?
I haven't seen Miss Piggy this evening. I believe she's out somewhere, probably shopping.
Spending the money.
Spending those Disney dollars.
Well, there's a new Muppet Show, so she's got to spend it somewhere.
I can't wait.
Me too.
Thanks, guys. Thank you, Kermit. Thank you, Mona.
Thank you very much. A pleasure to be here.
Thank you.
Thanks to both of you.
And now we've been welcomed by Fozzie the Bear. Welcome,
Yeah.
Fozzie.
Nice to be here. This is terrific.
Here's Fuzzy.
Kermit had to run off. I think Miss Piggy's spending all his money.
That sounds about right.
So, Fozzie, can you tell us your best dad joke?
Why does Fuzzy Bear wear a hat?
Why?
Because I'm bareheaded. Waka waka.
Did you like that one, Mona?
Oh, that was a great one. Hey, Fozzie, I have a joke for you that I reckon I need your opinion. So,
what does the Blackpool Pleasure Beach and ice cold drinks have in common?
I give up.
They both go great with a coaster.
Uh,
Oh man, I don't joke
Yeah.
a lot, but that was probably my best
I
one.
want that. Has anyone got a pen?
Are you nicking that one, Fozzie?
Definitely.
You might as well.
So, Fozzie, what's the secret to your youthful complexion?
Oh, well, I may have had a little work done, a few fur transplants, turkey.
Lots of tips on Manamana then.
I could take some notes.
So, how do you deal with hecklers, Fozzie?
Relentless enthusiasm.
Ooh,
I'll make them laugh one day. Hey, you guys, I'll make you laugh one day. Don't kill any
do
bear.
Well, you've got a new show. You've got a new show, so plenty of people to entertain.
Yeah, can't wait.
So, is there a special lady in your life, Fozzie?
Oh, well, that's kind of personal. I was dating a girl called Becky a while ago, but we just drifted apart. I did go on the date with a dentist. I'm seeing her again in 6 months.
ooh.
So,
Wait a
Fozzie,
minute,
do
Fozzie.
you wear
You
the
don't
same
even
tie
have
all the
teeth.
time?
Yeah, this is my lucky tie. Guaranteed to get a laugh.
So, in your closet, you just have the same tie, millions of ties, or do you just have one
No,
tie?
just the one tie, and I haven't washed it since 1963.
Ooh.
So, you like Bart Simpson, really, with the same T-shirt?
Exactly.
Don't
Or like
change
Mickey Mouse,
what's a
he has
success,
the
I
same.
suppose. So, Manamana, what's it like being good friends with Fozzie?
Oh, being good friends with Ozzy, even though we don't hang out much, I still like hearing a good joke or two. You know, he is probably one of the best jokesters I've ever met in my life. I definitely think he is underrated
Yeah.
because he needs to be appreciated more. Hecklers, I don't understand them. They just don't get good comedy.
Mm-mm.
That's it. The comedy's been going since the 60s, so you can't beat it.
Mhm.
Thanks, guys. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, it was terrific to be here. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Oh,
Waka waka.
So that was great, guys. Thanks for doing that.
You're welcome.
Yes.
So, what can we tell the children who wants to become puppeteers, or adults, in fact, who want to, listen to your story and think, actually, I want to get into that? Where would you start? Because, like I said, I'm assuming back in the day it would have been finger puppets, but like Louis said, he just, grabbed a big puppet. He never did the finger puppets.
Well, exactly. As a child, obviously, me and my kid sister, I used to put on finger puppet shows with friends and stuff like that. We created a little set that the puppets could walk on around. They're literally just finger puppets. There's no animation other than that. And we called them the Furbles, I think they were called, or the Furble. I can't remember what we called them now. And they had all songs and all kinds of things. And we put on little shows in a neighbour's garage for the resident kids around in the neighbourhood. So, start somewhere. Just, if you want to get into puppetry, just get yourself a puppet. It doesn't have to be an expensive one or a TV quality one like the ones that we're using. We all started off with shop bought puppets, replicas of TV puppets like Sooty and Sweep and Emu and things like that. And just
People did sock puppets, didn't they? So is that not a way to start with, just like a sock, I suppose? Because you're still trying to, like you say, you're still getting the movements and
a
stuff,
sock,
really.
rubber band and a pair of ping pong balls, and that's it. And you're away.
Oh, yeah.
Puppet, And then you
Kevin can do it. We can do it. Anyone can do it.
anyone can be a puppeteer. That's it. And it's people
But I
gravitate
suppose
towards.
you don't want to go straight to the rods, do you? Really, or
It's a learning curve, and obviously,
It takes time.
there are puppets available, in the big toy shops and things like that have some sort of arm rods and things like that. But and live hand puppets and sock puppets like your Sooty and Sweep and different animals and creatures. That's a great thing. It's like animation and puppetry. It has no boundaries as to what's possible, really, as to what kind of characters you can create. You can be, you can impersonate another character like I do, or you can create characters like I do. And have their own personalities, their own distinct look. They can be unique, and you can add to a puppet. The great thing about a lot of the old Muppets is that a lot of the characters, the background characters, were interchangeable. They'd stick on a nose, stick on some hair, stick on a mustache, and that's the great thing about puppets, and when you're making a puppet, again, from Adam Crosinger and things like all the puppeteers and Phil Fletcher, and sometimes when you're making a puppet that's a custom puppet, it's something you're making yourself, it's not a replica or something like that, you can't really make a mistake because it's how it came out. That's the individuality of that puppet. That puppet's got wonky eyes not because you made a mistake, it's got wonky eyes because he's got wonky eyes.
What they had in the day, yeah.
Exactly. It's the part of the character, it's part of who you're building, and so I would recommend to anybody who wants to do puppeteering or making puppets, just have a go, do it. And it's for a couple of hours bored one lockdown, it becomes a thing. and the next thing you do, you're being invited to podcasts and Comic-Cons and things like that, and it's great, it's fun. Don't take it too seriously, but it's a good hobby, it's good fun.
You got, like you said though, you got to have that passion for it, I suppose, because it's like you said, if I was trying to get into it, I'd probably have to start at the socks. Not because, like you said, it's hard or thing. It's because if I went to the rods and I couldn't do it within the first 5 minutes, I'd be like, nope, that's not for me. I'm very quick like that. It's not like with Will with the board games. If I sat down and I'm not enjoying the board game, if I'm like, no, it's not for me. I can't sit there for hours or.
I'm very much like that, but some things. Once you feel passionate, like you say, if you feel passionate about it, you will put the effort into something. You will do it, and you will put the effort, and you will practice, and you stand in front of a mirror and look a bit strange, talking to yourself in front of a mirror with a puppet and practicing arm rods and things like that. Of course it's strange. It's a strange hobby, but then, you're your own worst critic. You judge yourself more than anybody else judges you, and I've been there with the imposter syndrome, and it's not really good enough. I'm not really good enough. I'm not good enough. And then, but that's not for you to judge. It's for other people, and other people. You not necessarily take other people's criticism.
You said it before. You said your friend's better Kermit than yourself. You know what I mean? So don't put yourself down. It's.
But you do sort of just sort of go into it and have fun with it, and then if other people enjoy it, that's great. It's a happy byproduct that you've made a video that you put on TikTok or an appearance you've done at a convention has made someone's day. I've had people say that to me, that I made their day by appearing at a convention, or I made a video that made their day, or they showed it to their mother or a family member that they visit on a daily basis, and they say they look forward to going round to their house because they sit and watch my videos together, and it makes their day and it brightens their day. And you kind of think, well, it was worth doing. It made me laugh at the time, it entertained me at the time, but it's made somebody else laugh, it's made somebody else smile, it's resonated with somebody else.
That's it, isn't it? It's not about sitting down and going, can I make £1 million out of this? It's about your hobby, what you enjoy, like I said, what it gives you. So like you said, if you're going to a Comic-Con and somebody wants a picture with you, you're getting that enjoyment out of that as well.
Absolutely. I would do this for nothing, and I do, because
I suppose it's the same with cosplayers, because like I said, the cosplayers want to dress up, they go to Comic-Cons, they want people to ask, because I've seen many people at Comic-Cons going, oh, I want a picture with that person, I wonder if I can go and ask. Well, that's what you want. You actually want people to come and say, I want a picture with Kermit, I want a picture with Manamana, I want a picture with Fozzie, you know what I mean? And
yeah, come up, anybody watching this at the Comic-Cons, the seals at the Comic-Cons, obviously I just attended as a random, hunter on the day.
You wasn't invited.
Brought no,
you just turned up.
Yeah, and I came to speak to Phil, and Phil obviously wanted to see one of my replicas, so I came down. I brought the replica with me on that basis, really. And Phil Fletcher was kind enough to loan me his Fozzie Bear replica for the day, and I just walked around the convention, and then people just seemed to sort of really respond to it, and so but yeah, absolutely. Next conventions or whatever, you see Kermit or Fozzie, and I'm underneath or behind or wherever I am operating that thing. Yeah, absolutely. That's why I'm there. Come and take a picture. Come and record a video. Come and say hello.
And same with you, Louis.
Yeah, so like with puppetry, obviously, like you can start small. Obviously, I personally recommend don't rush into it. It takes time. At the end of the day, like even if it takes you since at a young age, like I started off with a puppet like this, which this is an example of something I started off with when I was really young, and it still fits in my hands to this day. And as you can see, I have tampered with him before, considering he's got a hole in his face, and he has appeared in a short film, which was one of my first projects. And he's clearly just wearing like a Sonic shirt now. But even if it's just like practicing like that, or even just saying your A, B, C, D's, it's like it's just something simple like that. And then obviously as time goes on, puppetry, like even though people can do that as a business. Personally, with me, and the same with Aaron, it's like I do it for fun. I do it because it makes people happy. Even if it makes people scared by showing as a massive giant snake, or just like appearing like, I don't know, as a dog in Oliver. It's just like Bullseye the dog.
There's Bullseye, yeah.
Yeah, this is the Bullseye that got shown and what got used in the Oliver musical that I puppeteered. It's like, even if you're doing something like this, like as a play, like a little play, it's like it can show you that that you can put puppetry into anything, even if it's like, again, like a sock or just anything. Like, you could make anything into a puppet, really, if you think about it. It's like, when I was younger, I used to make my primary school jumper into a puppet when I'm bored. It's like, I used to do that, and it just shows that it can have a massive influence in you. But if you want to get into puppetry, you can just do it. It's like, pick up a sock and just create a character, or even just like getting like a puppet toy. It's like, sooty puppets are really like easy to come by nowadays. Like, you can easily just get a sooty and just make him do that, or even just get a little squeaker and get a little sweep and just do like little, all
Well,
that.
it's crazy how, like you said, sooty, sweep, and was it Sue? How famous they've come up, and they are just a sock puppet, but they are recognisable.
And
if you saw them at a Comic Con or anything, you don't see the person who's doing it. You see Sue, and you see sooty, and you see sweep.
And it's just pure escapism for everyone. It's and that's why I do it. It's it's escapism for the people watching it or people meeting you and stuff like that. But it's escapism for you as a performer, and it's just you're pretending to be something else or someone else for a little while, and it's that's that again. I guess a lot of the performing arts, that's what draws people to it. It's being somebody else. It's doing something else, stepping outside of your own life and being somebody else for a day or for even just for a few minutes. And and I say you can just start out just by lip syncing to songs or lines from movies and things like that. And there's a lot of people that do that, and and they enjoy it, and they get people have gone quite gone viral on the internet doing that kind of thing, and each to their own. But it's a case of people enjoy the art form of puppetry, and it's escapism for everybody. And people look at that piece of cloth and piece of fabric and imbue a personality into it that the performer's bringing across, but also that if you listen to Sweep or Sooty, you read expressions. You're listening to Sweep squeaking, but you hear him speaking.
Yeah,
know what he's saying.
Yeah. I saw a video the other day where Sue's telling him not to run around the set, and she's saying slow down, and he's like and you can tell what he's saying, and then he gets his ear trapped in the door, and it's just it's so funny, absolutely brilliant.
Hell, you can just tell
what
he's saying.
In the clangers, they wrote scripts in the clangers, and it was just literally slide whistle noises. And then apparently the story was that they just didn't see the point in writing scripts because they don't speak. So they stopped writing scripts. They got complaints because people knew that they weren't speaking.
Tell what they were saying.
And it's crazy. But but just that attention to detail, people pick up on. So Sweep and the clangers do have dialogue. It's not that you can understand, but you kind of understand it. And it's like, and it's just like I say, you just imbue a life and a personality. You breathe life into that character, and it's escapism, and it's fancy, and it's fun, and people connect with those puppets. And we've all grown up with different puppet shows and different, like the Muppets and Kermit the Frog and Jim Henson and Frank Oz's Creations and Phil Fletcher and Hack of the Dog and things like that. And people see them not just as puppets; they see them as personalities, as not just as characters. They Hack of the Dog is Hack of the Dog, Kermit the Frog is Kermit the Frog. It's more than a puppet.
Have you ever used the strings puppets, like like Pinocchio and stuff like that? Are they not?
I never have personally.
Not since childhood. It's very tricky.
Because they seem to be more awkward, like too many
I think it's called marionettes.
So I'd definitely get. I'm not the most coordinated of people at the best time.
Like I said, we was blessed in the 80s because we had obviously Thunderbirds and Stingray and all them. Do you know what I mean? So we was very blessed, and like I said, I'm glad the Muppets are back because we need more shows like that again. Because like I said, my childhood was fantastic with all the Thunderbirds, Stingray, Fraggle Rock, Sesame Street. There was tons.
That inspires people and sparks imagination in people. And they sit and just enjoy those shows for the 20, 30 minutes those shows are on. But then these kids go out and play Captain Scarlet or Thunderbirds, or they go and get their teddy bears and perform a Muppet show and things like that. And it's that creating that spark of imagination in people. And like I say, the nostalgia's there. Again, what I was saying before, that a majority of people at the conventions were actually, you know, adults. I grew up with that show. I grew up with the Muppets. I love Fozzie Bear. I love Kermit the Frog. You know, and things like that. So, you know, it sparks something in people's memories and people's minds to a simpler, happier time, where, you know, these wholesome shows where there's fun and laughter and songs and stars and celebrities and, you know, no high stakes, no serious drama or anything like that. It's just pure imagination and escapism.
It really just can bring a lot of happiness to other people, even if you're just showing them like a character for like a few seconds. It can really make people like really happy. It's like, again, it's like when we were talking about like how people grew up in the 80s. I grew up in I was around in the 2000s. Like, even though I was born in like 2007, I didn't know what Rainbow was until like, because I didn't have many VHS tapes until like my grandparents introduced me to them in their house, and they had some of Sooty, they had some of like Rainbow. It's how I got introduced to like the Tweenies and other characters like that. And I remember seeing Zippy, and I was a bit like, he's funny, and I like him. And then like now, it's like nowadays, it's like Ronnie LaDrew, who's like the original Zippy. It's like, I remember he reached out to me at one point, and it shocked me, and I was like, that's the original Zippy. What's he doing here? And it's like, it kind of just shows you that with what you do and what you do that makes you happy. Some people can come around, and it's like, there's always thing that I say is that when you're doing something like this, you never know who you're going to bump into. It's like when I first met Phil, I remember I first met him and I was so nervous. I was like, he's my puppet idol. I love what he does. I was a huge fan, and like, and still am, obviously. And I love to work with him one day, and you know, or even just any puppeteer. So I'd love to work with like any, like, even just like work with the Muppets. That's like my huge dream. And I remember when I met him for the second time, and when I met Aaron, and I remember when I had Kermit put on, I was just like, can you, you know, record this, please? So I remember Phil recorded me doing Being Green and just speaking some bits as Kermit, and I remember doing that and hearing Phil go, like lean into Aaron and go like, his lip sync is really good. And I was just like, in my head, I'm just like, what is going on?
What do I do?
It's like, and I remember when I first met him and I was demonstrating, even with just like my hand, just speaking like that. I remember he said like, it's crazy how you can do that at your age, at like a young age. And I was like, I didn't realize that it's something I can do until like recently, like when I showed him like Kermit, like from Aaron's Kermit. I was just like, it kind of just shows like if you show off what you do, like it can really like bring you somewhere, even if you're starting young, like what I'm doing. Obviously I'm doing this for free, and I like doing this because I like making people happy. And I like creating that little spark that Jim had when he did Sam and Friends with Kermit, and it kind of makes you think, if he can make that spark, I think I could carry that spark if I could. Because since like we've just recently announced like at the Lytham Community Comic Con, like me and Aaron bringing like Manamana, Kermit and Fozzie along. What's really nice is how like we're kind of bringing that Muppet spark into more in the UK, considering like, you know, people grew up with Manamana and people grew up with like Kermit and Fozzie, and just bringing that little spark to like nowadays just makes me happy. It makes me feel like I can bring happiness to the world, and it really does. It's a really lovely thing when you're doing that from a popular character and bringing it more into like the younger generation and kind of showing them like, this is what we had, and it wants to say hello, like Kermit wants to like teach you something, or like Fozzie wants to tell you a joke. It's just like nowadays you don't normally get that, but trying to bring that little spark, it kind of shows that puppetry can go a long way.
Well, thanks, guys. Honestly, I could chat to you all night, but we don't have the time. But I'm sure we'll get you on again, because it was absolutely fantastic, and I think you give our listeners a massive view of the puppeteering world and how it works. So thanks again for that, guys. But before you go, we do a special thing now, which is the Guardian's Bucket.
Oh,
And we have random questions, and now these have not been done by me. These have come from the galaxy, mate. So I have no idea what's in here. But honestly, don't worry. It is just random questions. You've never even heard these questions before. You'll be shocked at these questions. So we'll give it a go. Oh, This will be interested in this question. So question 1 is board games or card games?
Ooh.
When you say card games, do you mean like a deck of cards, or do you mean like?
Yes. Yes.
No, there's no competition there then. I thought you meant like Magic the Gathering or Pokemon the trading card game or some other kind of deck building game. But
Oh, see, I told you Will be interested in
I
this
know,
question.
yeah. Stop me now. Go on, it's for you
There's
two
a whole
anyway,
new
not for me.
podcast on that question from Will.
Yeah, but it's your question, so you two.
So
need
go on, Aaron.
I'd say board games, definitely.
Will convince
More
you.
variety.
Thank you.
I don't have a mathematical brain, so anything that involves counting numbers on cards and things like that, and working out odds and statistics. Now it's not my forte.
Yeah,
What about you,
sticks to
Louis?
board games.
I've had a lot of memories of board games, like, Monopoly is personally a favourite. But with Bidker, I remember backstage, me and a lot of like my friends, we would actually play card games backstage, waiting like during the intervals and before the show, even sometimes after the show. Like my friend would pull up with like top trumps or something, like as simple as top trumps, and we would make up like a game of like something like a dealing game, like in a way of gambling, in a sense, like pretending to gamble for a laugh. And I remember like the cast, like the staff or like the cast members that work with the show with us, we'll look past and they'll go, "What are you doing?" And then we're like, "Oh, we're just playing." Yeah, it's just
Playing a
top
made-up
trumps.
game.
So I think
No,
we've
other
learned
than
tonight that Will's favourite is Aaron.
Yes, based on that answer, definitely. Yeah.
So question 2, guys, is drama or fantasy? Well,
Ooh.
it's an interesting one because it's puppets, really. It works for
Fantasy
puppets.
for me. I've always been a fantasy sort of like. I do like a drama. I won't say and you can have a fantasy drama, but yeah, I've grew up on all the comic books and Star Wars and that kind of thing, sci-fi, Star Trek and all that kind of thing, and the Muppets and stuff like that. So yeah, fantasy for me.
Quick one for you, Louis.
Yeah, I'm a bit similar to that. It's like drama, like it just depends what you put on. It's like Coronation Street. I don't know if you count it as a drama, but like I don't mind Coronation Street in my opinion. But like I like fantasy. It's like I enjoy a lot of
Boo,
fantasy.
Emmerdale. Boo.
I may agree with that. Who said that? I don't know who
So
said
the
that.
third question, guys,
But yeah, no,
is
but like with fantasies, yeah, he's definitely a great one. No questions asked.
so the third question, guys, is a pirate or a Viking?
Ooh. I think I've got an easy answer for this one. Considering I played a pirate in Peter Pan in Vidcar, kind of always felt I've always loved a bit of pirates. Pirates have kind of always been a good one. Always loved pirates.
I'd probably say pirates, although I think they're both quite seafaring. I'm not sure I've got sea legs, but yeah, I'll go with pirate.
These are good
So
questions.
question 4, guys, beauty or brains?
Ooh.
I would say brains, definitely, because yeah, I think definitely brains. Brains is beautiful in its own way.
Especially with like knowledge, and obviously like with like knowledge and like talking to you as well. People might.
And you need brains to build a puppet, so go with brains.
Yeah, brains to build a puppet.
I prefer. I will say I have neither, but
So last question, guys. I don't think this came from the universe. I think this came from my wife. What Harry Potter house are you in? She's a Harry Potter freak.
I feel like I'm a Ravenclaw. I don't know if it's just I like blue.
Are you not a Slytherin after the snake you did in Aladdin there? Surely.
You missed the trick there, Aaron. You missed it, Lewis.
Well, that's it. You just stole my joke. You stole my Fuzzy Bear joke, which is how do you get in Hogwarts? You Slytherin. But yeah.
Hey. Where's Fozzie when you need him?
Exactly.
He's writing that down now in the background.
He's there.
Well, that's the end of the questions, guys. The random questions from the universe. I told you they were random. I told you they weren't from me. They were from the galaxy. Yeah. They got picked, so I had no control of them. But thank you for joining us, guys.
Thank you for having us. It's been good fun.
Yeah.
It's the phase. I really enjoyed this.
Thanks for taking time out of your busy schedules to join us. We really do appreciate it because obviously it's great to have you on. Really enjoyed it.
Thanks for having us. Thank you.
Cheers.
Amazing. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Bye bye.